Okay. Well, the all seeing guy is here. It usually takes 10 to 12 seconds. Hi, good evening. Michael Anthony here. You know what this is about, the Donald J. Trump News Team Network news. So, anyway, it's all about you and me, the things that we find. Coming to you out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Studio 10 Broadcasting, America, Disclosing Uncensored. Yeah. So, with that said, Donald J. Trump News Team Network, it's all about you and I, us together. I need a little bit of help in the group. I mean, be nice. I mean, don't feel free to post what you do. Post. At some point, we're going to talk about it. Everything's news. Just like some of these things here. Women's sports. Yeah, we're still going through issues there. But Trump did sign an executive order to recognize and acknowledge women. Outstanding. Big Balls is still standing strong. There are some military arrests, it seems, that came out of Cash, his work, that are being charged for treason. I believe there's 3 individuals on that part that's taking place now. And DARPA, whoever the HARPA is, screwing with us on Facebook, it still remains. It does. I'm seeing people getting penalized. They're just, even some of my posts just tend to disappear. They just tend to disappear. And yeah, I'm in the little box tonight. That's the way I wanted to do it. You know, I've always had all this technology. I don't really use it a lot, but I think it's time that I stand up and start using it because I think people like to see validation. I spoke about a lot of things over the past few years. So did a lot of other people. We're all doing our homework. We're all deep diving. We're researching. I do it from morning till bedtime and all that stuff. I definitely do that. I really do. So with that said, let me just take 1 minute here to make sure that I am actually live globally. I hope that I am. Because sometimes my settings change themselves. They just change themselves. I don't know why. If you put it on public, it should stay on public. If Okay, great, thanks. In the background back there, behind the glass, I appreciate that. So anyway, what I want to do right now, just while there's really nobody in here, but the information is all important. Please stay with me, hang in, like and share. Remember, sometimes big names with small groups and small groups with big names are just as important as big names doing things that we just don't have the ability to do like they do. So let me do this real quick here. Make sure that I'm totally live on my page. Okay, and I am. And as soon as I do that, we'll go back, we'll reflect a little bit and see what we can get out here. There's a few shares going on too. So just no guest tonight. No guest tonight. I'm just hanging myself. And that's okay. I don't mind it. Every once in a while, it's really good to work on your own. Because you hope in the chat room, a lot of conversation comes up that way too. And a lot of people will be in the chat room at some point gathering, I hope, anyway. So I'm going to send out a couple headliners to a few people that I know. Maybe they'll want to come through, say hello. And that would be great if they do. Anyway, I hope you had a pleasant day. The weather's starting to change in the Northeast. It's been pretty good. We're going to have a couple, roller coaster events, of course. That's going to happen. So beware. That's for us in the Northeast. I hear they're warming up down in South Carolina in the next couple of days also. And I've been thinking a lot about, Carolina, what's going on down there and what's really happening. Who's helping North Carolina? What's going on in California? I'm going to try to touch base on as much as I can. I'm going to say, hey, Ernie, how are you, brother? And Jonathan Garcia, hey, you know what? I was actually thinking of you today. I really was. Not a joke. Me and you hit it off in a lot of ways in conversations and stuff. I want to have you come into the studio with me and do this kind of new format that I'm doing through the Trump News Team Network system through Studio 10 Broadcasting here in Pittsburgh. But right now I'm in the middle of just like seeing if anybody wants to come in and sending out a couple invites to people. Maybe they'll even just stop through and say hello, and we'll get some vibrations kicking here, getting some good people in and so forth that who are true patriots, who are true patriots. So let me just do this here and get this out. And thanks for being rock stars that you are also. I mean, I see all you guys out there doing your work. And I'm happy to always do it for you as well. I truly am. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, please. Yeah, I had a couple of friends that said to me, please, Michael, if you're going on, give me a thumbs up. Well, this is a good way to give them a thumbs up, I guess, by how I'm doing it. And all right, so I did that. I conquered. So we're going to use a little bit different of technology today. I'm going to test it. Hopefully it all works. I really don't. I don't know. I think the other night when I was doing it, to be honest with you, there was a lot of stuff going on. Just like, Musk had some problems the other day as well. And he kind of said that he knew what was going on, but he really didn't, elaborate on the fact that, X was being hacked. So that was kind of like going on too. Also, so a lot of things to review. Really is. Every week there's just hundreds of things going on, and it's all coming out of what I'm calling Team America. And we need security for Team America. We need Team America to have security. No more of the White House administration. Okay, Team America. I hope that takes off somehow, because I'm promoting it and I'm pushing it hard. I'm not trying to be a genius, but what I do know, what I do understand is there are a lot of people interrupting what's going on, trying to interrupt in public what's going on, using voices, crying like little sissy cats that they are, the feminine ones and the non-feminine ones and the new masculines, all that stuff. But anyway, they're bitching and complaining about everything as if, hey, what did we go through for 4 years? What happened? What happened when we got slammed with that pandemic and crisis and businesses got shut down and all these other things? And what happened when the Clinton administration was looking into downsizing and the Obama administration was looking into downsizing? And now it's like Musk is the one. Musk, hey, let me tell you something. Musk came out formally and said, I got to be very careful what I say, or I'll be dead. And that's what he said exactly. And I hope we'll get to that clip. I do have that in here also. And a lot of this stuff with families, beware, because I've seen this going on out there publicly, where people are getting these strange phone calls, and all they need to do is to get you to say the word yes. From everything, when I hear something like that, I look into it. If they get you to get your voice. They ID you, somehow they ID you. You say yes, they can go and take that yes, that 3-letter word, and go on and cause you the biggest havoc that you could ever imagine. And I mean, that's with purchasing things for credit card purposes, all this different stuff. So you got to be really careful, because we're starting to see that bad scenario also come in. Fractal mapping, that's something I want to talk about. Hopefully we'll get to that tonight. But one of the other things is, why has nobody ever asked the question? Because we're still hearing that men have babies. Okay, here's my thing on that. Why has no one ever asked the question? And I put this out there publicly many times. Not many, but several, but many. No, really, it's probably many. If that is the case true, why in Senate or Congress, when people were being asked, subpoenaed in for questioning, and being placed in places of leadership and so forth, why were they never asked? When said to, can men have babies? And we know that the left says, yes, it's all possible. Well, if that's the case, who's paying for it? Does someone's insurance pay for it? There should be records showing something that says, yes, we paid a claim for John Doe or Mary Jane John Doe, had a baby, and we paid I want to see that paperwork. Where is that bill? Where is that healthcare claim? What's going on with that? I mean, I want to know, because I think that's how you get down to the grassroots of things, if you really call them out. I've never heard anybody say anywhere in Senate or in Congress all right, if it's possible, let's see the medical records. Let's examine them all together and let's see who and how it got paid for. And then let's track the social security number and so on and so forth. But that's the way it is. So this men, it's all bullshit. But women in sports, it's still going to be a battle. We're fighting things. The Supreme Court's justice, I mean, we're having a couple failure things going on there. You know who the ones are. You've seen all the ads. The people in posts and podcasts that are doing and bringing up the fact that, some people are scared and they don't want to get their hands too tied in, always giving a win-win to America, you, the we, the people, or make it look like they're favoring Donald J. Trump. Their job is their job. They shouldn't favor anybody. They should weigh all evidence by the preponderance of the evidence and make a decision. But we're not exactly seeing some of that bullshit. We're seeing a reverse narrative there. So we have that going on also. All right, now a little bit of the fentanyl crisis, and it's huge. It's freaking huger than you think. But here's what people really don't know. And please listen. Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate you sharing. I really do. Listen, China knows how to keep their hands clean. Okay, even though Canada is involved in bio with China and all this other stuff, they really are. They're involved. Trump knows that they're involved. But the point is, like when it comes to the fentanyl crisis, what's going on? We have the northern border, the same as where they were letting the illegals come through. But we were only acknowledging the southern border, of course. We weren't looking at West Coast and California, and we weren't looking at the East Coast either. So believe me, they were infiltrating from all sides, not just colleges years ago, and student programs and so forth, bring them in. There's a lot of stuff out there on that too. A lot of dismay. People are really upset about what they're learning and finding out how deep and how long this is going on. And even our vice president, hats off to you, brother, hats off. He says we're looking at over 25 million. But I don't know if he's referring to just in the past 4 years, or is he referring to when we started to get occupied by what the left was doing and offering to other people as well. And then you get the 200 right here on the page. It's right in front of you on the page there. Trump was talking. And I know I'm erratic. I'm going all over the place, but this is the kind of thing and the kind of way that America, there's just so much. But so Trump says his words, these are his words. So you can count on them. Listen to the man, not their plan shit that goes on out there. We are subsidizing Canada to the tune of more than $200 billion a year. God damn it. I think we bought this place, right? Just like Ukraine. I think we own it. But listen, Trump says, and I think this is important, vitally important. Yes, we have enough here. We can handle and we can help and we can cure a lot of the things that we need to make America great again, to be in that process of stepping forward to get us out of this crisis that we're in, like American crisis right there under my name. It still exists. It's still here. This war's not over. We're just starting to see the penetrations of us taking things over, getting things to work, putting in people of what I call Team America in place, Cash and Bondi and everybody that's just great that we're seeing, everybody having a job. And I can't wait to see what Matt Gaetz does because that's going to be pretty impressive also. All right. So what we have to worry about here on the trees and the BLM, the woodlands, these people must have known for so long to plan this event in place. And this is a true fact of what they did. So they take these steel rods, they drill down into the core of the tree, and then they bang them in. Of course, the tree kind of heals over, the bark recovers, and you don't know it. And you're out there, you're a logger. Okay. Now, this was actually up in Washington. They had hearings over this stuff. And this is part of the problem of what we will see American people going out to work as loggers. If Trump says, all right, start cutting down these areas of woods, these trees, whatever. All right. And then your chainsaws going through the tree and suddenly the bar breaks from the hit of the steel rod. The chain snaps. Now, look, we've had injuries. Now, I do chainsawing. Okay. I do tree cutting. I ran into this myself once. Didn't realize, why did somebody do this? I mean, it literally ripped my chain apart. I didn't get hurt. But we have on record where people's jaws were ripped apart, faces, all. Anything you could imagine was happening. And it was all being conducted through BLM, what they called to preserve the wood in some fashion that was only harming people that were going out to work. Yeah, I see my flash going on. I know what that is. It's supposed to be an effect, and I hit the button, and I didn't know how to shut it back off. Anyway, nevertheless, all right. So the chainsaw's going through. It hits this, and it can cause death, catastrophic injury. So we're going to have to be very careful because this is something that they also put in place. Where in Canada, they don't do such things. They don't. They're involved in a lot of shit and with a lot of countries doing a lot of bad, but they don't do this. So, of course, I know that Donald Trump, and you know it as well, he would like to get things there. And with that said, get done. The same as what we're hearing now is the ceasefire coming through Ukraine. And Zelensky he went over to the east. He was trying to rub elbows with people. And then suddenly today I start hearing that, possibly Israel was dropping some bombs on Iran. I don't know. I didn't check into everything of all that, but I do know some retaliations of something did occur. So we have that going on as well. So as I was saying, though, in Canada, all this money, and then we may actually have to, harvest our own wood to be productive, to start the build, to continue to build. And make America better, build homes, structural things, get things done for the homeless, of course. And then that's the other thing on the homeless. These blue states are now saying to everybody that, hey, look, guess what? We got to take you down. We got to remove your tents. We got to lock you up because Donald Trump said so. Donald Trump isn't getting involved in any of these cities. He's just saying that he's going to support the men in blue the best that he can. The ones with good integrity who are coming to do their jobs, he will give them protection and immunity from bullshit charges. And, these people need every narrative of bullshit that they can. And I'm telling you a little bit about what I don't have that'll show up, but is out there happening. So they're pointing the finger as it's the Trump administration. It's the American dream team. No, it's none of Washington right now in the present of a new presidency. It's not at all that. They are trying to fill more bullshit into people's heads, saying that it's all about this, it's all about that. Trump had nothing to do with it. They're doing this for their own, whatever the reason is. I don't know. Look, I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The other night, we had 75 young adults going around creating havoc everywhere, breaking things, breaking windows on cars, going from area to area. I even put up a GoFundMe for the Pittsburgh police. And I really didn't, but I put up a post that sounded like we need to get a GoFundMe going. But this isn't just in Pittsburgh. We're seeing havoc like this everywhere. And it really is out there, in immensity, and it's huge. So, as we are now stepping into the first 100 days out of the first 6-7 weeks that we're in now, we're seeing these things come back up, just like that happened in 2016, and that we saw to start to repeat themselves in 2020. So you have all these narratives of, the crybabies and, the fake whistleblower teams and so forth, and the Schumer, the Shifty Shift, and Maxine Waters, and everybody of the bobbleheads just screaming their heads off all at once, and they're all saying the same damn thing. It doesn't change. It's like what we saw on the media. Now it just shifted to the left, the Democratic Party. The ones who stood up for nobody, not even a child with cancer, when Trump did his, meeting in Congress there to basically, address America and so forth. We saw who these people truly were right then and there, including the one that got tossed. Okay. So again, we're going to get into a lot of that. I'm going to try to talk as fast as I can because, it's just so much. And, I know people want to listen. I know people are going to want to have comments. I'm going to try to do all that with everybody because, look, you're part of the team of the Donald J. Trump News Team Network. You really are. You're part of it. Post in there. Try to make it credible, though. And especially when you come across, posts like Trump and you actually hear the verbalization coming from him, you have validation on what you're posting. And they can't bother us. They can't continue to bother us, or if it comes from Cash Patel and you're getting it right off an interview or something that he did, Matt Gates, Marjorie Taylor Greene, it doesn't matter. Put all the appropriate information. This just isn't about what Trump is doing and signing. It's what everybody and Team America is now starting to move forward in to help us, help America. And wouldn't you like to hear some really great news like around April 15th saying all taxes have been removed from the American people? And with that said, there's enough money where we can, and believe me, I really feel that America is going to get gifted. Somehow it's being talked about, it's in the works. And I guarantee you, everyone that is pointing the bad finger at Trump's going to have their hand out for their cut of the check. And you know what? Because Trump's bigger than they are, smarter than they are, and he has more common sense than they are, and he has a heart that feels for these people being lost, they're all going to get one. But the same as us, undeservingly, but they're all going to get one because he's looking, when he does something, for the taxpayers who paid into something that was just inappropriately used through U.S. aid and all that different bullshit that we hear about. Well, then it comes back to, hey, give the money back to the American people. And that would be wonderful if somebody all got a taste of that flavor. So, okay, now China, as I was saying, I don't think I finished it. And that's sometimes who I am, and I apologize for that. And if you're just tuning in, this is America Disclosing Uncensored. I am Michael Anthony. Tonight is the weekly of what I call the Donald J. Trump News Team Network Facebook group. Okay, so that's where the basis of it is. That's where we're at. You can like and share. You can take it. You can invite friends to it, bring it in, build it up, make it go nuts. So China makes all the parts for the fentanyl. Okay, so you can't when they say China's shipping in the fentanyl, that's not really true. I did enough deep diving to understand is what they are providing, though, is the materials. All the chemicals, all the pharmaceuticals, and then it goes to the cartels. Then the cartels are the cookers, like for the freebasing cocaines and all this other bullshit. But that's what it actually is. They provide so much of whatever, then it's up to the cartels to figure out how to do it and distribute it using American people to do it for them. Imagine that. And yeah, it just happens to be that way. So remember, when you hear about that, it's fentanyl's coming through the northern borders, yeah, it is. But remember, there's people in these places out there hidden well enough that are actually creating the harmful drugs. Yes, they have little underground tunnel, basement here, a mobile park trailer. They're all doing it. They're making it. They're manufacturing it. And, it's a big money thing. It really is. But remember that it's nothing physical that they're handing that's ready for the shelf. Okay. No, doesn't work like that. They get bags of this, that, and the other, probably with instructions, or very good people of science that know chemistry and pharmaceutical chemistries that could say, all right, this is what we need to do this, do that, do the other. Okay. You wouldn't think that they would be doing anything like ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, right? No, that wouldn't be, But anyway, speaking of that, you can get it on Amazon. You can. And if you have a friend in Mexico, they can get you ivermectin there too. And it comes, I think, in the 6 milligram tablets. So just remember, they're very, very small. It's not a horse bullshit, whatever. We know it's multi-purpose. We understand that. Okay, so one of the other things that blew up that I noticed this week was about Gene Hackman. I was just like, wow, there's something here very suspicious. I mean, when you line and connect all the dots there, it's huge. Just like every freaking thing else, it's that huge. Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up just for a quick one. What I also see a lot of, though, and maybe some of you guys can answer this for me. Can you anybody answer this for me? Okay. Did Omar and AOC really receive student loan forgiveness, making the money that they make, jumping into the investments that gave them wealth into the millions? I mean, I see people are, promoting these things. I don't know if it's real. All right. So anyway, we're going to move the tab down here. And I want you guys to tell me, actually, if you can hear this. Okay. Please let me know if you can hear this. It's not coming through? All right. Interesting. I gotta figure this out. I may not have it totally all figured out. Legends out there, big money makers yet. Okay, what I'm trying to play, and I don't think it's coming through for you guys. It is voice related. I don't know why it's not working. Um, what this is basically, and I apologize for this. I didn't know this was going to happen. I truly didn't, because you know what? I did a self test with somebody without using the StreamYard Live, and it was productive and good, and it worked. Now that I'm on live again, for some reason, I don't quite understand it. It doesn't seem like it's sharing it properly to give you voice. So, not loud enough. Oh, that's interesting. Can you turn up, if I turn it back on, can you turn your volumes up and let me know if it comes through? Because Beth McCord just said it's not loud enough. So I don't have a volume control to this particular one. So I'm going to, here, let me go to another one real quick here. They're all different. Or they're just removing our, control modules. Because honestly, I used to be able to put everything up and it had a purpose. Try this. All right, just tried it. Just tried it. Okay, hear me fine. How about the video? Okay. All right. I'm hearing that some people hear it, some people don't. This is pretty weird. Anyway, she's explaining to what Washington did to create student programs to come in from other countries, and how they basically security and all these other things did occur. So I don't know. All right, I'm gonna scroll down though here. This is where Jim Jordan fires back, and I'm very sorry being told that nobody can hear it again. I don't know. I just don't understand it, because it said to share in present. Let me wait. Let me just try this again here real quick. Let me stop screen and let me do represent and share screen and entire screen. Also start. Okay, let's try it now. Maybe. Okay. Nope. Let me do it one more time. I got to figure this out. Give me a minute here. This is like crazy. As simple as it is, and it truly is that simple. Entire screen. Click. Share. Okay. All right. Click that off. All right. Let's give this one a try, because I am very curious. All right, here we go.
It attempted to impose a, quote, temporary funding freeze, unquote, across much of the federal government that a judge has already ruled unlawful.
Okay, thank you, Beth. Thank you, Beth.
Fired duly appointed Democratic members of independent agencies to deprive these agencies of a working quorum and essentially prevent them from fulfilling their missions. And to ensure that no one is able to hold the administration accountable from within the executive branch, the president fired more than a dozen inspectors general without following the statutory requirements for doing so. These actions are as unconstitutional
like Biden never followed
as they
anything,
are dangerous.
right?
While we witness these incursions on the rule of law and the Constitution, my Republican colleagues do nothing. In fact, they cheer on Elon Musk as he usurps congressional authority and arrogates unprecedented power to himself. When Joe Biden was president, we heard stirring speeches from our Republican friends about the need to assert our Article I authority. We were told that the Biden administration was guilty of dangerous overreach when it attempted to help people drowning in student loans, or protected our communities from gun violence, or helped shield consumers from corporate abuse. But now that is ancient history. Now they aid and abet shadow President Musk while he bulldozes his way through the administrative state, untethered to any congressional statute or authorization. There is no check and no balance from the Republican Congress, just feckless inaction because it serves their purposes. They know that undermining the critical protections provided by our agencies would be deeply unpopular. So they are content to abdicate their responsibilities, stand up for this institution and for the people they represent.
Yeah, right.
Twitter files. Oh, and we also had someone else in big tech send a letter to this committee and tell us exactly what they were doing. Mark Zuckerberg said the Biden administration was pressuring us to censor. We did it. We're sorry. We won't do it again. Told the whole world that in a letter to this committee. So Elon Musk is now doing that for the federal government. We think that's a good thing. And to understand the fundamental difference the left has with us conservatives. Democrats believe it is the career elected bureaucrats who are supposed to run the country. We don't think that's the way it's supposed to work. We actually think it's the people who put their name on a ballot who get elected by we the people who make the decisions. And the guy who got 77 million votes on November 5th says he wants Elon Musk working for him, the elected member who heads the executive branch working for him, every bit as much as the federal employees, the people in Treasury who are supposed to have all the answers, or in USAID who've been the career officials, working for him to expose stupid things our government is spending money on.
So, yeah, okay. Everybody knows that that's really the trickery behind everything. And I was told quietly that everything is working. So if you're just stepping in like Joe Fox, hey, hello, Joe, how are you? I know we got a small little group of people being active here in the chat room and so forth, but hey, a little was better than no crowd at all, right? So I'm going to scroll down here. There's just so much that is going on. This was reported, anyway, like I said, by President Trump himself, that Ukraine has agreed to ceasefire. However, Trump will now need to talk to Putin. So we're going to see where this goes. It seems now that Zelensky's being apologetic, etc. You know, it's a grooming process that he tries to do as he does it. And, you know, the thing about how he shows up at the White House and these, his clothing line, that's what it really is. If you go back and look at any of his videos, I think he had like 51 of them, and he had like 3 movies. On all the subtitles and all the covers, he was always in a suit. Imagine that. He really was. He was always in a suit. All right. This is a little bit about, some of the other things we don't always get to talk about. And I'm going to be scrolling through a bunch of this. This is part of the food industry and what we're fighting against to bring back good food. Jonathan, you know about that. You horticulture, you're doing your own thing at home. I do mine. Beth does hers out on her balcony. Bob, well, my eye doesn't let me see my own writing right. Barb, okay, gotcha. Thanks for joining in here for a few minutes. Anyway,
companies can put any kind of combination of chemical around that label, but what those chemicals do is they create the 1 millionth best part of the taste. It's what PepsiCo uses a robot that mimics human taste buds to test how addictive their products are so that we can't stop eating them. And this is what other companies are using this technology to allow the entire bliss point to happen in your brain so you can't stop eating a product. It's so that every time you go to that product, you remember the flavor. Your mouth starts to water. You start to remember that taste. And it's the same thing that actually MSG does. And this is something that's in a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich, for example. Like the reason why my mouth waters when I say Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich is because of the MSG. I remember what it tastes like, even though I haven't had it in 15 years.
Isn't that incredible? Really, when you think about it, it can actually affect you into your memory through the food processing chemicals. I mean, this is why right now we got RFK and all this other stuff going on. And there's a lot of it. There's just a lot of it. And then we have a little bit of, these are long clips. I'm going to suggest that you come on to the Donald J. Trump News Team Network thing and, look at them yourself if you missed anything, because they are quite long. They really are. And let's go to this next one here. This is, I got a laugh out of this. And you might also.
Misleading and detrimental to the rest of the interview. This is why snippets of information are often misleading and detrimental to this committee's advice and consent process.
If you consent, I would love to have 5 hours of questions and then I could read the whole transcript.
You've got 2 minutes.
Oh,
wow. The rest of the interview. This is why snippets of information.
I mean, I know it's short.
Advice and consent process.
If you consent, I would love to have 5 hours of questions and then I could read the whole transcript.
You've got 2 minutes.
As you're picking up on it.
No taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security benefits. He is committed to all 3 of those things, and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have. They don't get charged on foreign companies. They get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I now regret giving a question to the Associated Press. Mary, no tax.
She's a brilliant woman.
Just received these documents.
Let's talk about it right. She's a brilliant woman, and if you're going to get in her face, she's going to return fire. This is what Team America is about. This is the new White House administration. We for the people, for us, working for us. Transparency, giving us our hope and our dream back, back to the people. Anyway, so much going on, so many different things. Let's hit this one here. It's a little bit more news out of Canada, and I think this is important. Otherwise, I wouldn't have placed it here.
Responsible for bioweapons and bioterrorism.
This is what Canada.
We know now that a People's Liberation Army official was able to gain personal access, walk in the door, look at computers, and have access to all of our most important virological secrets.
Wow.
We just received these documents that Trudeau has been covering up for years. Documents related to a massive security breach at the Trudeau government's most sensitive laboratory, where the most dangerous viruses and pathogens are studied and handled. We have learned that the Trudeau government's head of pathogens was collaborating with members of Beijing's People's Liberation Army who were responsible for bioweapons and bioterrorism. We know now that a People's Liberation Army official was able to gain personal access, walk in the door, look at computers, and have access to all of our most important virological secrets.
Wow. When you hear it like that, this is coming from the White House administration, Team America, and it's all very important. Then earlier today, we started to hear about the helicopter that hit the plane. And again, really, we got nowhere, black box, nothing nothing confirmed. But I placed it there, but utterly bullshit. I mean, embarrassment of the profession of leadership when our lives and safety of our lives are in play here. I mean, we do like to fly, to go on vacations and so forth. And I think people are starting to rethink, do I really want to fly right now? Okay. So we're going to continue here.
Funnel funds to Democrats under the guise of environmentalism. Federal Authorities now probing the Biden-Harris administration's last-minute rush to push billions of dollars to green energy groups, even organizations that were brand new and not fully vetted.
Whatever you can
So
hide
now
it.
Republicans claim much of the money actually went to left-wing politicians.
Yes.
And this was all uncovered by the new head of the EPA, excuse me, former Congressman Lee Zeldin. Let's check in now with national correspondent Alana Austin live on Capitol Hill with more on that. Alana.
And this is all confirmation, validation.
Hi, Emma and John. Good morning. And EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, as you mentioned, says there are many red flags being exposed with the millions and the billions of dollars that went out the door right before President Joe Biden left office. At this point in time, this has been referred to the Inspector General's office, the FBI, and the Department of Justice for further review. And also the FBI, as we mentioned there, for the green energy funds, billions being distributed shortly before President Donald Trump returned to the Oval Office. Zeldin alleges some.
So a little bit of that, no need to play the whole thing because it is what it is. When it comes to it. So you're funneling, you're hiding, you're making wallets. It's normally all operated and functions out of the left. And of course, it goes to their families' projects, fake foundations. And why a fake foundation? Why is it important? Because you know what? It doesn't take much money to create a corporation or an LCC, all these different, whatever you want to call them. But if you start a name and it has a little bit of a vibe, it sounds like it's going to do the world a great good, like the Clinton Foundation didn't. But, this is how they funnel the money. Through USAID and all the other different things, USAID, USAID, and so forth. But getting beyond that, we do have those points, and this is where Musk is attacking. And this is what it means when I said to you, fractal mapping. How do you find this stuff? How is these young kids so brilliant? Fractal mapping. What is it? Content of habits, the same as ours. Why do you think A&I shows up now? And it started years ago. We talked about it, joked about it, and laughed about it, and they were laughing in our face. But what they were really doing was setting us up for now, the same way Musk is setting them up, by our habits. If we go to Home Depot and we're looking for lawnmowers, and suddenly we were seeing on our pages that type of thing. Or if the phone heard us and we were talking about certain meat products, whatever you were talking about it, AI technology jumped right in and started to feed you the information for what you needed, and then started selling your information out to people to commercialize you just as fast as they heard about it. They learned about it, and it's on your page. That's exactly what he's doing. That's how he's doing it. He's watching the habits. And when he gets into the habits of what's called fractal mapping, it's going to blow you away. It exposes everything. It truly does. And that's why they're being so successful on every level. Now, this is, just about, what we're talking about, 3D, graphene oxide, nanoparticles, cloud seeding, and patents. And what I want to bring up with this also is because I know we're all against it. Our Doug for Gov, who's stepping back into the ring to run for governor in the state of Pennsylvania, Doug Mastriano, is putting forth a bill to get this shut off, this weapon shut off. And we know it's a weapon. I don't know what we're going to do with all these 5G radiational towers that we have now that are like spike proteins all over the earth, everywhere. They can change the wind directions. They can do a lot of things. They really can. But here's a patent, one of them. This is only one of them that's a fact. So it's an actual fact, validation in front of you. But know this, in Pennsylvania, we're doing something because we have the right people in a couple of the right seats, and hopefully we'll get this all turned off. Because like I said, I put a post before and I did what I could, sending little memos to Washington. You hit your senators and all that and say, shut this off. Shut it off. You have to do the same things in your states too, and out of the United States. Fight back. You have to fight back. Be a voice. Be the difference. Be the person that helps us change everything. And we know with what's spent that goes up in the air, not only that, the fuel costs and all these other things, they were provisional things put in place through Biden, and maybe we just can't shut them off yet. maybe our governor in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, is just a bigger ass than we thought, and he doesn't mind spraying poisons over all the citizens of his blue state that he calls his blue state. Anyway, we have a guy by the name of Tony Moreno running for mayor in Pittsburgh, and he's getting out there. He's getting and making connections to people. He just got enough supporters on his ballot signing for him to be part of the election. He was a one-time police officer. He ran against Gainey. He didn't win. He's coming back. He's stronger than ever. He's putting a lot of information. And this is what you need to do too. When we used to talk about breaking the bricks down on the bottom of the foundation, this is how we break the system and the leadership that's in there now that is no good to us. Okay? And this kid O'Connor, who's trying to fill his daddy's shoes, who wasn't even a great daddy to begin with, he's another one. But I want to be very careful because I don't want any lawsuit litigation. So I'll just apologize to you now for making that comment. But it's my own feeling, freedom of speech under what I call my style of journalism. You can like it or like it not. It doesn't matter to me. But the point is, you know, our cities are falling apart. We're starting to see a lot of some things that were happening years back, but they're also not paying much attention to the executive orders. That's the other part of the failure. No matter how hard Pam fights back cash, it's going to take a while. And that's why I'm telling everybody this is what I feel is the most important part of us navigating what Team America, the administration that Trump put together in all the agencies, whether to dismantle, defund, recategorize them, or send the money into other state programs and within the federal government that could also handle the same types of works that were being done but not being done. Are you aware? Wait, no, Jesse Waters is fantastic. He really is. Look, I like Joe Rogan. Sometimes I call him Joe Rogan because of the no hair thing, but it's a joke, and I hope he understands that. Dan Bongino, doesn't matter, the War Room, but oh my God, too. Then did you hear about Steve Bannon and what went down that fiasco there? Anyway, I got a thing. I'll put it up in a few minutes here. So we lost a hell of a patriot that was fighting back in the War Room. He was found dead, and he's one of the team members to the War Room, and Alex Jones. It's just amazing. This is why I'm saying we need security. We need new safeties put in place to protect these people, because these deep cells are very strong, and they are still very actively in place. They're just working in the silence. You don't see their names. The ones who are truly navigating, the ones where you see the names or the other names, like the generationals, they're the bastards that have been put in place, like Trudeau. He's a bastard child, but they made use of him. They educated him. They pushed him through, put him in place. It was selection. It was fixed elections. It's the same way in all other countries that we've seen things that brought the New World Order into play, and the Bushes that backed them up and talk about it, and Soros and Schwab and the UN. It doesn't matter. It's all part of the orchestration of the deep state cell and who they are. So we need good protection for our people. The example of what happened at the War Room, what happened to this young man is why we need to do more to protect everybody that are doing the jobs. You know what? I think we can afford that. We can put that into our budget. That's just, but it's so sad to learn about things like this. Okay, now we got a pair. Let me see what the time tent is. I don't have it. It's not showing up. I don't know if this is a long version. I'm not sure. Let's just check into it and see what the hell Mike's talking about.
I appreciate free speech. I used to defend it in courts, but this is far beyond the pale of that. When you are threatening your classmates and spewing anti-Semitism and all this hatred, it's enough. And I think the American people understand that. They're supporting it, and I'm glad we have a president who's strong enough to lay down the law. Thanks a lot. If you are on a student visa and you're in America, and you're an aspiring young terrorist who wants to prey upon your Jewish classmates, you're going home.
Bring him in.
We're going to arrest your tail, and we're going to send you home where you belong. And this is just getting started. So, look, I appreciate free speech. I used to defend it in courts, but this is far beyond the pale of that. When you were,
So anyway, everything that's going on is far beyond, and there's no doubt to that either. I want to say hi to Brenda, who's popped in. Mary, rest in peace. Yeah, that's all we can say, you know, when it comes to these situations where you have such criminal acts that happen because people are trying to fight for America. All of us are targets. I've been a target forever, not in maybe in the same mannerism as some of these other bigger shows with their help from behind the scenes and the smaller podcasts that are also in play with like a place like the War Room, you know, and so forth. There's many different things out there going on, you know, that people talk about. Let's see, this was the Elon Musk, the details on a 4.8 there. Yeah, that was the live. That's a long one. Again, please come into the group and learn it and see what's going on. Mitch Wood, part 1, TikTok. Let's give him the benefit of that because I don't really remember. It's not really that long. We'll just get some words. Everything I'm putting up here is a connection to what we are all fighting for. That's
out of the country.
Important.
And folks, here's the kicker. Trump's new deportation app is actually just Joe Biden's illegal immigrant asylum seeking app repurposed. Now, folks, there's a lot to go over with all of this, but first, I want you to watch this breaking news report. Then we're going to have a lot to talk about.
Well, breaking right now, the Trump DHS is launching a new self-deportation app for illegal immigrants, giving those in the U.S. illegally an incentive to cooperate.
Reverse engineer, the one that was bringing him in. The one that's
good morning to you. So this is pretty remarkable. The Trump administration has taken that controversial CBP-1 cell phone app for migrants that the Biden administration was using, and they've repurposed it into a self-deportation app that is officially launching today. And we're getting an exclusive first look at it. Take a look. The app is now called CBP Home. It allows illegal aliens in the U.S. to register to self-deport. They fill out biographical information, including their countries of citizenship, which country they plan to return to, their alien registration numbers, their contact information, and it allows them to upload photos of themselves to confirm their identity. All of it is then submitted to CBP, and they leave the country. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, why would an illegal immigrant want to self-deport? Well, DHS says if they leave now, they will have the opportunity to return to the U.S. legally in the future.
There you go. We don't even have to play the whole transcript, okay, of the video. So Biden was giving out phones. There were maps how to get to America, how to board boats, planes, all this other stuff, handing them phones. Everyone was coming in with them, telling them how to get here, who to come see when they do, how to get through the red tapes to, you know, get free rent, get iPhones, newer ones once they got here, or updates, upgrades. I don't know. It's no different than a vaccination that was ready for 7.2 billion people, and they had millions of phones ready also. Remember, they also had millions of laptops ready when they decided to keep the kids home to learn from home. So they do this. So what Trump did, and it's a great thing. It's logical. What he's saying to these people, do what we're asking from you, and you have the option to return. But you're going to have to go through the proper channels to get back in. And that again is wrong, a wrongful action of the president of the United States. But AOC seems to think, you know, agrees with the other side also. So you're hearing different comments out of Washington as well on that part. But this one was, something that a lot of people didn't know about. The feds raided bureaucrats. So let's just check into this for a quick moment.
Busted for a multi-million-dollar pay-to-play kickback operation. It's been going on for a decade.
NYCHA superintendents, assistant superintendents, and others responsible for the care and maintenance of public housing, a scarce resource in this city, allegedly used their positions of public trust and responsibility to solicit and receive bribes from NYCHA vendors as a cost of doing business. Over $2 million in bribe payments in total. The 70 current and former NYCHA staff members charged today in separate bribery schemes touch every borough of New York City.
New York Democrat officials running housing projects in all 5 boroughs were on the take from contractors. These dirty bureaucrats took a cut from a third of all contracts, making 10 to 20% of each job. They took bribes and racked up an $80 billion hole in the budget, while the projects they oversaw crumbled into disrepair. Democrats steal from poor minorities and call Republicans greedy racists.
So there you have it again, just like the mafia. I mean, they were the hugest builders in New York and Washington, Las Vegas. When you think about it, they all had a piece of the pie, and they all supported the politicians. If they supported and gave the political left and sometimes even the right, they could count on them to be able to get more work. But also there were cuts, there were kickbacks. This isn't something just new, just happening. This has been through the entirety of time, just being practiced by different people trying to use the same type of performance platform of how to hide a kickback, but it didn't work so well. As I said, when you trace habits or fractal mapping, it shows and it comes out. Yeah, so we are seeing arrests. People are saying, why aren't we seeing arrests? We are seeing arrests, but they're everywhere. They're starting to happen. And as they happen, we see more fires. You know, Long Island just had one. And look at the bullshit that happened in North Carolina and South Carolina with those fires. It seems when we gut punch them really hard, something else comes from it. And they're trying to plan right now. I don't know. I'm just saying, what I'm being told is we're starting to see atmosphere transmissions that create storms. And it looks like they're trying to do something over the mid-central United States and bring it all the way across, the Northeast here. And with that being said, they're talking hurricane events, they're talking tornado events, they're talking power outages, building damages. They're expecting the worst of the worst. And the harder we hit them, the more they're going to use that weapon. That's why we need these things in the sky to be turned on and taken out, because it is actually a weapon. And with the same to say, the towers, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. All right, let's get to a couple comments here. Info team are getting swatted now. Yes, without a doubt, Mary. And Barbara, the news media and social media are covering it all up. Of course, they don't even come out and say it. Brenda said the NATO world order, national. Yeah, exactly. You're not wrong. PJ, his guy that is working in the war room. Yeah. I have his name written down. I know who he is. I have a dead spot right now. I apologize for that. Let me see if I can get to it. Here it is right here. I don't know if this is just a commentation of it. InfoWars journalist Jamie White was murdered just before midnight Sunday night in Austin, Texas. And they didn't, if it wasn't for them at the war room sending the police for a wellness check, they would have never even known. They found blood out in the parking lot. It was just a horrific scenario. And I mean, when you hear about things that are really bad, this is part of how bad this really was. They say he was one kind man who poured his devotion into anything he did, and part of that was helping us to get where we are, to get us further. So prayers to his family and everybody down there at InfoWars. I do believe I have a comment, though. Actually, maybe I don't have it on here, and if I don't, I apologize for that. Oh, look who that is. All right. You all know, the one that met the Queen and everybody else. Oh, this goes so deep. It goes so much deeper than what everybody even can imagine of what's involved. And it's Planned Parenthood. It was Sister Teresa, who, by the way, was related to Fauci, is actually a relation. So yeah, let me back up for a second here. Doge just canceled $159,000 reimbursement payment. Oh, what is she acting as a bank now? Where did the money come from that she put this? I'm sure there's a tracker on that one already. We can figure it out what it's all for at some point in time, just like that's reflecting to. Then we have this. This is good and bad because I don't quite know how we're going to have to perceive this. But Bailey is also facing China in a court. He told China if they do not pay $25 billion for the damage caused, and I'm sure influenced by Donald J. Trump, because this was one of the things that he threw out there earlier, caused by COVID-19 to the Americans, the United States will begin seizing their farmland within the country. So, okay, good and bad there, right? I don't think the farmland is going to make up for the amount of money that it cost. Will they work with us? Actually, China's running on hot right now, making threats towards America. We're going to have to just wait to see how this pans out. Again, eminent domain, some type of fashion, breach of contracts, Panama Canal, all these different things are all part of that strategy of narrative. But would you rather have, and I'm asking the chat room or anybody that comes in after this, today, tomorrow, whenever, if you want to leave the comment though, what's better, the 25 or the farmland? And I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot with that. Okay, what do we got here? List of employees who did not record. Yeah, isn't this wonderful? If you go back and you try to remember the thing that we couldn't even talk about, a list of employers, and this isn't even all of them, but it lists the White House was part of the staff that didn't have to take the vaccination. Congress and staff didn't. Supreme Court, CDC, the FDA, the WHO, Moderna, Pfizer, UPS Ballot Services. Oh, I'm sorry, UPS. I meant United States Post Office. I think that Postal Service. I think is what they were talking to. And COVID Test Lab Industries. So remember, they were essentials, the same as Pelosi and Newsome in the wineries. Just saying, wine was important. Remember, because why? Paranormal spirits. You remember when it was called the State Liquor Board? Well, it still is called the State Liquor Board, but the State Liquor Store. Okay, you have that. Now, then it went to wine and spirits. Biblical. No one really puts that one together, but it was a biblical reference because wine was good and everybody. It's even recommended in the Bible by, you know where I'm going with that. I'm going to try to be, just give you an observation. I don't want to get real deep into that because, some people do use God to create their platform to make it sound bigger. And they do get followed by a lot of people because they put God into the factor of why they are doing what they are doing. And they preach off a component of it. And I'm not saying they shouldn't do that. I'm not saying that at all. I want them to do whatever it spreads. But, it's almost like having a better set of tits and ass and a pretty face. How that works out. Those are the people that, there's always that monitorizing of something that works because you're pretty. Well, I'm not pretty, but I do try to be vocal for the right purpose of what I do. So I'm guilty too. But you do have that, and I'm not doubling down on any of them anyway. All right, what do we have here? Sacrifices will take. Okay, this is something where I was going with the wines and spirits and all that kind of thing.
In 1989, which is still used in North America today to teach our students. So this Mossad agent was controlling school education, medical journals, and scientific books, all under a company named after Satan's throne.
Yep, that's her
his
daddy.
Maxwell's father was a Mossad spy who named his empire Pergamon Press,
some of the
which was a publishing company that often released medical journals and scientific research. If we analyze old religious scriptures, in them the term Pergamon is named as Satan's throne.
Pergamon.
The altar of Pergamon is where human sacrifices would take place for many gods, including Baal, Moloch, and Zeus.
Yeah, I mean, when you get into the old culture of biblical content and it does Neptune, it doesn't matter. Anunnaki, who were they? Supplementing names, rebranding certain things, and it is what it is. Okay. Here's another good one for you.
From the State Department, we looked at them for USAID, and what did we find? For State Department, it was like 94% went to the left. At USAID, it was like 98% that went to the left. National Endowment for Democracy, like 95% to the left. And then we started looking at all of the partners, the international NGOs, the contractors. We started looking at all of them, where the billions and billions are going. And 95, 98%. Even World Vision Catholic Relief Services, the vast majority, well over 90% of the political donations were going to the left. You look at the boards, they're all prominent people making very high salaries. So when you think about what's happened, the left, which was misusing USAID, and they're doing this across the federal government, misusing taxpayer money as a slush fund to finance their own people. And these are folks that can go out there, do the media, be the foot soldiers of the left, give money back. And so you had a one-sided uni-party apparatus here funding only one side of the political equation. And thank you, U.S. taxpayer.
Yeah, because it all comes from you, me, and the ones who are working. Not to say that, it's coming from a lot of people. Even the people that were on Social Security had to repay taxes, not in every state, but, Trump did put a stop to that. That's coming also into the future. I don't know when the dates will come or if they already, because it's passed. Was it an immediate pass, or is there a certain little bit of a time limit for it all to take focus and be put in place? So you have that, and sometimes you have to wait for the better things. And Trump, one thing you got to say about Trump, he's not playing the same type of ball game that they were. He's coming into the game under law, common sense, and for the betterment of the people, and he's following all that. And it's just ripping their hearts out of their chests without anyone touching them. But that's what he's doing. So a lot of people are saying, why hasn't this happened? And that's why I said arrests are being made, things are being done. There are 3 warrants went out against military soldiers through cash for treason. So there are things, and there are other things in play here. A lot of people got down on Bondi and said, "Oh my God, she should have never opened her mouth." Look, you don't know until sometimes the entire can of worms comes at you in a different way. As she said, new information came. Sometimes you got to freeze on it, because in certain cases about what happened on the island or at the ranch concerning Maxine or Epstein, as a little rhyme ghetto thing here, and I'm terrible at it, is the fact that during the case and after the case, and because everything was basically hidden, these players on the left who are guilty on the crimes of humanity with Maxine and some others, they were trying to darken the cloud, so to speak. That's a term in legal where after the fact, if they can hide it, they go and they try to pay everybody off. And that means that they can redact all their information and testimony, and they will never talk about it ever again. And then we can't use it again. So there were deals. Remember what the prince did. You remember what the king, to be was doing. Prince Harry, Charles, all them, and the Queen, of course, London Bridge, who fell, who was part of the orchestration in Canada. Wait till that comes out too, because there's big things there that the people just aren't aware of what Trump is doing with his Team America on how the takeover, the corporate takeover of Canada is taking place. Because honestly, it's the ownership of a country where a queen held, and it comes down to just like a will, a country and probate. These things can't happen, but under a different guidance and authority of law. So that's what's really going on in that Gen Y. Okay, I'm just saying that's what's really going on there. But so after the case was done, and they basically, wanted to put this into a file and it would never be there again. Well, guess what? They started paying people off. Okay, would you expect anything less? I mean, we watched it happen prior, during the case, getting ready to come forth, witnesses, whistleblowers, etc., and that's where we are again. Okay, so we got AOC here. I don't know if this was a man who was in the United. Oh, yeah. So what this was one of, she had an illegal working in her office, and he decided to blow this town. That's what that's about. So she had hired an illegal right in her office. So a lot of you people might not be aware of this and what this means.
Going to stop and everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop. This is a movement, I'm telling you. They're not going to stop. And everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that.
Yep. So anyway, this has always been the narrative of where we are, why we're there, and the truth right from her. They're not going to stop. She said it when she was coming out. When she found out she lost the presidency to Donald J. Trump. And, there were certain fingers being pointed about certain things that were going on in Pennsylvania and so forth. She got worried. She got scared, and very scared, actually. And as we know, I think she is still in debt $20 million on, her presidential run, owing people, just vaulted them, meaning didn't pay them, walked away, and has no intentions to do anything to make sure they are paid. But when you say this, the terminology is the same terminology she's using there that she used the day after she realized that, transition of power was going to have to take place and that she lost. And these actions of what we are seeing is them retaliating back. As she said, we're not going to stop. As she said also when she gave that speech the following day. And it was saying within the language of the words used, she's more brilliant than what people think. She was actually running the crack house up there in Washington with Joe Obama. I mean, even Mike, Speaker of the House, said they tried not to let him get in with a meeting with the president. And finally, he was able to. He's like, hey, I'm third in line to the presidency, and you're telling me I can't meet with the president. Well, he finally gets in there in the meeting, in case you didn't hear about this or know about it. So I'll talk really fast, okay, and try to calm my voice. But, he says, can I have a moment alone with you to the president? Something of the sort of that. And I actually have him on a video of his actual wordings. If you go into the group, what we have right here posted, the Donald J. Trump news team, where you will find the validation to this. But running through it for you was, finally, Biden says to everybody, leave. They didn't want to leave. They were very reluctant to leave. Finally, they did. And Mike started asking him some questions. And he's like, no, Mike, I never did that. I never approved anything like that. So they weren't even telling Joe what they were really doing. And it wasn't just Joe Obama or Carmela, okay? Carmela, whatever, Ella. It doesn't matter to me how you say it. It was all of them in that network, including Susan Rice from the outside working with Obama. Same as the one that had the Zoom meeting with New World Order people and others to try to guide Zelensky on how to deal with Trump. And of course, he was shown the exit, of course. So that's how that all narrates into it. It's very important because, to have a video like this, I'm telling you, you're not going to find it unless you share it. Okay. So if you want to share it, make sure you do. All right. Let's get back to Jesse Waters here. And one of our beautiful members of Team America.
I'm curious about how they think this is a good tactic to keep their job. They're exposing themselves essentially by making this indirect threat, using their propaganda arm through CNN that they've used over and over and over again to reveal their hand that their loyalty is not at all to America. It is not to the American people or the Constitution. It is to themselves. And these are exactly the kind of people that we need to root out, get rid of, so that the patriots who do work in this area, who are committed to our core mission, can actually focus on that. I got to tell you, one of the byproducts of what I just saw literally today is because of this immediate action of transparency and accountability, I have people within the intelligence community reaching out to me personally and directly saying, hey, you need to know about this. You need to look over here. People are stepping forward because they are all on board with the mission to clean house and refocus on our core mission of serving the American people.
I love to hear that there's a lot of patriots that want to join you in cleaning house. Now we're hearing CIA agents don't like getting Doge, so they're going to sell state secrets to our enemies. What are we going to do here?
I am curious about how they think this is a good tactic to keep their job. They're exposing themselves essentially by making this indirect threat, using their propaganda arm through CNN that they've used over and over and over again to reveal their hand that their loyalty is not at all to America. It is not to the American people or the Constitution. It is to themselves. And these are exactly the kind of people that we need to root out, get rid of, so that the patriots who do work in this area, who are committed to our core mission, can actually focus on that. I got to tell you, one of the byproducts of what I just saw literally today is because of this immediate action of transparency and accountability, I have people within the intelligence community reaching out to me personally and directly saying, hey, you need to know about this.
Okay, so it was going into a loop there, but I wanted to let it go in there to fade it out because it was important. And that needed to be heard twice. But this is good tax dollars working for the American people. This is where Team America is making the difference. This is why I worry that they all get proper security around them all the time. I mean, look, we had 2 attempts on a president. This is 2 that you know about. I'm just going to say we have ideas of 2 other ones that he has not yet, the president himself has not yet really spoken about. But we know that there were things in question. And just a block away from the White House the other evening, Secret Service had to take somebody out who had a gun that was getting a little close to the White House. The details are still a little bit sketchy, even though they were put out there. But I can't find anything that was concrete enough to actually post into the group. And I just don't want to throw anything in there because sometimes I even do it and I got to remove it and say, oh, wow, this was totally wrong. Or 50% of it was more accurate than the whole 100% of it sounded and so forth. Pain syndromes and so forth. Okay, 5,000 FBI agents were present. So this is also a validation of fact. I wouldn't have it there if it wasn't true. 5,000 intermingled with the crowd and within the Capitol, on the steps, and more. 5,000 agents and are being, facial ID, facial recognition, okay, that work there through the 14,500, 15,000 hours of missing data and videos. So keep that in mind because we don't know where it's going to go. And Trump even said the other day, we know the pipe bomber, the bomber, we know. And some people were speculating that he was actually a relation to somebody. And again, sometimes you've got to watch what you're saying when you do citizen journalism this way as a podcast, because I give try to do a formal presentation or a really strong presentation of words because things are validated for the information, but you still got to watch what goes on in it. But 5,000, okay? And this wasn't just about Ray Ebbs. And where is Ray Ebbs now? We know that he was an informant working for them also. More should follow on that too. He was the one that was, hey, get up here, kick the building down, break the windows. Really? Okay. And people are saying that Donald J. Trump taking these agencies apart is wrong. It wasn't wrong. Remember, Trump offered 10,000 troops, 10,000. But of course, Miss Pelosi had other ideas and a different agenda and a videotape to prove talking about it to her own daughter. She doesn't care that you freaking know. No wonder why she sits there with a cane. And if you twist the lid, it probably has a little bit of Jack Daniels in the head top. Believe me, men had them out there. Yeah, they would go to the opera. They didn't want to sit there with their wives and they had their hideaway little, booze contraptions and so forth. So that's all real. Now, you ought to know these 2 famous people, and I'm glad that we have good Americans.
Which means that out there. If you're still thinking about it, get informed, talk to somebody you trust, your family doctor, your pediatrician,
you end up putting a bullet in your arm.
Get more information about it. They'll tell you it's safe, it's effective. This vaccine is tailored for kids, and
for kids.
Then come on down and find a spot to get vaccinated. You can get it for free just by going to vaccine.gov. Really? It'll tell you exactly where you can go to get vaccinated, and make sure to do it, as you said, for your kids, your entire family, as well as for the community at large.
Wow. I know you heard that. And doesn't that sicken and turn your stomach? A direct, blatant attack on the kids. I mean, biblical. I don't know what that was. It was a helicopter. Which reminds me, data came out today on the Washington accident at runway 33, where the It was sucked at. It was nothing really. Where the military helicopter crashed into the plane. First, again, to those people and those families. Okay, and this is one of the fabulous moments of making the dream team come to life. You know, Team America up in Washington. Within the White House. Let's see what we have here.
Congratulate you. He's an exceptional guy with a great family.
You've picked someone to lead the Secret Service that knows how every agent feels because he's done that job.
Thank you, my friend, for taking care of our friend and our president with your life.
Man, I rearranged my entire week, months to be here for you in this moment because you've been there for all of us and we've been there for the president in every moment. And many people.
Team America, people.
You're forever indebted to you.
Thanks.
Is this, we're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money. I'm telling you, you just watch. We're going to have jobs. We're going to have open factories. It's going to be great.
And it's short, but very sweet and to the point. And what is he actually talking about here? If you take a moment to think about it, with what he's going to do and the plan that he's going to put in place, it's going to put more money in everybody's pocket, which means everybody in America does better. We spend more when we have a little more. Your bills are, and then he's going to comfort you around your utilities and mortgage rates and everything. I mean, you're getting a big picture here of really what's going on. I know you do. You're patriots out there that listen to this show, or the admins in the groups. Some, I mean, believe me, I get removed from some of the Trump groups and stuff as if I'm doing something wrong. I don't get what I'm doing wrong. But every week, I do see that happen. And it's just not in patriot groups. It happens in ufology and Bigfoot. And it's, maybe you say something one way. You're not allowed to express the freedom of things. But I don't know why it is, but sometimes, you get removed from groups. It's sad. Let's see.
IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
All right, wait, let me put this back to the beginning.
We're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area. We're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
Well, there you go. He's going to get to the bottom of it, I'm sure, because, this is the kind of thing he does. You mess with him and you're messing with fire. And that's why they fear him. Yeah, the shadow president. You can call him whatever you want. If he's helping the president, is not everybody now working with Team America? All the new appointees confirmed part of the same shadow president? I mean, how's it any different? We're changing everything. Everyone is doing the same things, just different. But you see what? Just different because it pertains to money. Money. Listen, sometimes I think about this, and I don't know if I'm thinking correctly or not. But if you take everything on this God-given earth that is good and destroy it, you destroy everything that was God. It works the same way with their money, because to them, money, as we call it sometimes, is the root of all evil. Well, that's great expectations for them. They look at it just different. Their theology of it is different. It's theatrical, though. It's actually, So the USAID programs purge. What we are now finding out more about that is, too, what's left of it is going to go into state functional and federal other format agencies to be able to do what was good, for it to stay and continue as good, but to always be monitored. So that's part of what that's about. Charlie Kirk, he's always going somewhere starting shit with these young kids, and he's not trying to hurt anybody. I mean, he's really not. He's just trying to have a discussion, but it seems, some of these college kids are just like, fascinating to listen. How much our children could be great. parents need to sit down and have a little talk with them, and hopefully. So this was something else that came up. Pro-Palestinian activists deface one of the President Trump's golf course resorts. So that's what you're seeing there, the red paint and spray can. A blatant attack on the president's property. One of them, another, And then last week, would have been last week. We had to have 3 military jets fly over Mar-a-Lago because there was a plane that went out of his no-fly zone near the property. So they sent interceptors out to guide and direct him. Though didn't hear no more about it. But there's mysterious things going on, and maybe for good reason they're not talking about it. Don't know yet. This is something else that we should listen to for a few minutes anyway.
2 things happened within the space of a month, and I said I can't let this story go. I just have to know what is really going on with this disease. And one was I met a CIA Black Ops guy who said in 1962 the weirdest thing he'd ever done in his whole crazy apocalypse now career was dropping poison ticks on Cuban sugarcane workers. That was Operation Mongoose. So that was the first evidence that we had dropped ticks on a foreign country as a bioweapon. And then the other thing is one of my filmmaker friends went out to Willy Bergdorfer, and in a very long interview, at the very end, he said, yeah, when I investigated the Lyme disease sickness in the late 70s, early 80s, there was another organism there. It wasn't just Lyme that was making people sick. It was, and I was told to cover it up. It was probably a rickettsia. He didn't release all the information, but what he said was confirmed by copies of his lab books and subsequent interviews that I had with him.
Pardon my ignorance, what is the disease you described, the other one? Rickettsia?
So it's a rickettsia. It is the same organism that causes Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and that's the most deadly tick-borne disease in the United States. It also was a germ that was being weaponized by the U.S. military at the time, and they tried to stuff it in ticks. So what is tick weaponization? So in the interviews with Willie, what he said was, I spent over a decade in the biological weapons program, a contractor to Fort Detrick, working on weaponizing fleas, ticks, and mosquitoes, trying to mass produce them, stuffing fleas with the plague, stuffing mosquitoes with deadly Trinidad virus, and then stuffing ticks with either deadly or incapacitating diseases like relapsing fever.
Okay, so I let it loop a little bit there, but it's important. So why I talk about here's one of the devils in disguise, and I know you guys probably seen this, but this is because there is, for years, years and years and years, I talked about this weapon, and this is a confirmation of what they do and what they can do, what they could do, and it's still in play, even though they're not there. It's still in play. So let me get it to the point of, and let me replay and hit.
Be a good idea for President Biden to call a climate emergency.
Why?
Because he can do many, many things under the emergency powers of the president that wouldn't have to go through, that he could do without legislation. Call a climate emergency.
Why?
Call a climate emergency.
Why?
Call a climate emergency.
Do I need to say anything else? It is what it is. And this is how they, have planned everything right under our noses. Right under our noses. All right, a little bit of that. You're right. However, land should have never been sold to them. I know you're talking about, I'm going to backtrack here. Let me bring my scroller over because I got 2 other screens to my right here. So I'm seeing multiple things. I really am. All right, so you're right, but however, yeah. So you're talking about China. So what's more important, the money? I know the land should have never been sold to them, but when you bring money into play, and farmers, for whatever reasons, hardships, and they make you an offer worth more than your land's even worth, you know, that's part of the breakdown, you know. Yeah. Anyway, I get where you're coming from. Jonathan Garcia says they should have placed our farmland. They shouldn't have our farmland in the first place. Well, you know, we should probably have like a new law or something put into place where if there is another country, a party of interest, that there is like some type of law maybe now put into place after everything we're seeing, it's abundantly clear. And also how much one land, one man should be allowed to own, like, you know, Bill Gates. I mean, he's another, and there's several other examples of people out there very strong with a lot of acres also. So these are the two main players, though, when you look at it, a country versus a man of wealth and stupidity, who will do anything to depopulate the earth. Of course, we know that. And why was this property so important to China and so forth? It's hard to speculate around that, but maybe we need to create something that stops it into the future where this can no longer happen. And we had good governors actually trying to do that, and then make the land maybe somehow unusable while it all gets worked out. You know, that nothing is approved, no permits are provided, etc. I know it would be better if Trump went and said, look, all right, you paid $3 billion for the property. We'll knock it off the 25 that we're demanding from you. Yeah, I mean, who knows? He's a negotiator. He's not a trickster. He thinks out of the box. Maybe he has a plan, but I don't disagree with you in any way. I don't. You know, we don't need other countries to own our country. That's just the way I see it. That's just the way I see it. All right, let's see what else we got here, because I know there's so much more here. There's just so much.
Trumpy want to audit Fort Knox, but why?
The largest fortune in the history of the world stolen. Shades of the old James Bond film Goldfinger.
So just how did the story of the Fort Knox gold robbery get out? It all started with an article in a New York periodical in 1974. The article charged that the Rockefeller family was manipulating the Federal Reserve to sell off Fort Knox gold at bargain basement prices to anonymous European speculators. 3 days later, the anonymous source of the story, Louise Auchincloss Boyer, mysteriously fell to her death from the window of her 10th floor apartment in New York.
Imagine
how would Mrs. Boyer have known of the Rockefeller connection to the Fort Knox gold heist? She was the longtime secretary of Nelson Rockefeller.
Pretty crazy theory, but one thing's for certain. Fort Knox hasn't been properly audited since the early 1950s, so something fishy is going on.
No doubt there's something fishy going on, and I cannot wait for the live video feed. And that will be very interesting, because we've been asking that big question. Maybe they're hoarding the eggs in there now. I don't know, or the golden eggs. But one other thing we do know is there are a few certain people in the world right now collecting and purchasing a lot of gold at the high prices it's at, which make no sense unless you needed the gold for a purpose. Can't wait to see what's behind those doors. Can't wait. Speaking of Bill Gates and the devil himself and the depopulator.
That a vaccine was secretly laced with a hormone to cause infertility was given to hundreds of thousands of women and girls without their knowledge. What if I told you that a vaccine that was banned in the West for killing girls was pushed on African girls, making them 10 times more likely to die? And what if I told you that the man behind all of this, funding it, promoting it, has just had his legal immunity stripped in Kenya? This isn't a conspiracy theory. This did happen, and the evidence is undeniable. Bill Gates, through the WHO, has funded programs that have been exposed as dangerous, unethical, and deadly. And it's time the world started.
Yeah, it's time the world started to know more. All right, here's something that
illegally. It's not a criminal. It's a crime. It's not a crime, which is why they're so frustrated they really want our local law enforcement to go out and round up people when they could be looking out for the murderers and the sexual abusers as well as the robbers. They want them to go and round people up on civil accusations. And so that it is not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally.
It makes you wonder where the brains come from and how they got in the places that they are. But listen, this is from a lady up there who was like doing her thing. And I put up a couple videos about her doing her thing. But you know what? I got the last time I played a parcel of the song because of the Super Bowl and halftime show, I got hit with violations and all this stuff, you know, threatening me because of music and copyright infringements, etc. But so here's this young lady trying to come out and do the dance and so forth. And what she's saying is we need to have more time for our police to focus on what's going on from the citizens within the United States, when actually there's a higher percentage of the criminal acts are coming from the ones that came through illegally. So she's going to protect them. Of course she's going to protect them. She makes no sense. And this is from somebody that's not, as it was said earlier by somebody else, not a person from the hood. She went to a high school where it was costing $33,000 a year, and then went into a college that was $55,000 a year. So she came from something that was not just in general. Some people don't even make $30,000 a year or $50,000 a year. They don't even make that money. And here, somebody paid for her school. Was it her parents? Was it her grandparents? Was it somebody on the left? Is she somebody's kid? Is she somebody's relation? I mean, just saying. We don't know yet, but I'm sure if we dig further, that will come out. But what we do know is the places that she attended and how much it costs to go there. So when you look at the 4 years in high school, you're at like $29,000, $132,000 for 4 years, and college, it's basically double that. That's a lot of money for 4 years here and 4 years there. Think about it. Think about who she really, really is. This is something that I talked about several times, but I think it's important to play this. I don't think we ever got to it, and I want to know.
Can you name other instances of foreign aid going to terrorist organizations?
Terrorist organizations.
We have assisted Al-Shabaab in Somalia. There's been instances of the Hamzi network in Sudan, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, Kataiba Hezbollah, Hayat Tahrir al-Shams in Syria. Dozens of terror organizations have received indirect assistance from U.S. foreign aid. These lobbyists have come to the House and have tried to kill legislation like H.R. 160, which was meant to increase transparency in USAID's funding of overseas organizations.
Is that a current piece of legislation?
That's from the last session.
And give me that number again.
H.R. 160.
And what does it do?
It was meant to give U.S. lawmakers the ability to have higher transparency in terror financing investigations aimed at scrutinizing extremist groups.
Mr.
Yeah. So why not just give? Like our military equipment. How many billions of dollars was that? Look what we gave to Ukraine, and we don't even know where the equipment's at. That is really in question. All that military equipment we send over there seems to be being sold off to other countries for the technology. I mean, isn't it funny? Isn't it funny? Something else of importance.
Support terrorist organizations in the Middle East to the tune of millions. And I'm just going to read you a paragraph of this plan, so it'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Understanding the role of the Muslim Brother in North America. The process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process with all the word means. The Ikhwan, which is the Arabic word for brothers, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers, so that it is eliminated and Allah's religion is made victorious over all other religions. Is this clear? But the most important...
It's very clear. It's very, very clear. And there's no need to... Outside of that, we experienced some more plane crashes in the past 10 days also. This one was breaking news the other day. It was a plane crash in a Pennsylvania retirement community. that went on and crashed into a bunch of cars. I mean, this is like a new pandemic of a problem, things just falling from the skies. Or, you know, mishaps on coming in for landings or on the runways. What is going on? I mean, is all intentional acts? I mean, you know, this is what we're seeing, though, whether it's hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, water, floods, and everything else. It's an extreme everything. It blows my mind is all I'm going to say. You know, and we keep fighting for what we believe is good. Here we have Jasmine Crockett wants to stop Elon Musk. Well, what is Doge? If you really think about it, that might be the important factor here. What does it really mean to you? If you take the letters and put words to them, if anybody would like to reply to that, because to me, I know what it is. I don't know if you guys do, but it'll tell you a lot. It really will. So she has a salary of $174,000 per year, net worth of $9 million, $2 million in a townhouse, 1.5 in a loft, and 1.5 million in a lakefront cabin. Lavish life for a new beginning, huh? For a new starter. And then you have this in Ukraine. I don't know. I have no validation to this, but I saw it and I'm thinking, look, Donald Trump's telling us we're losing, not we personally, but the country's losing 3,000 to 4,000 people a week being killed in this war. But there is a ceasefire. So thank God that there's something going on there. But then we have where we see something like this and somebody, you know, immediately says, wow, looks like a city of Lesbos now. I don't know what's going on up there. I don't know what part of Ukraine this is in, but this is what's happening in Ukraine. Every day in Ukraine. So I guess there's an area that's isolated enough for the war. And this is what we're seeing. Where are the men? It's almost like a sci-fi movie. So maybe there's behind all the allegations, and I wouldn't even call them allegations because if you listen to the man, not their plan, Trump himself said that you know, it's shameful. And what are they doing? You know, up till this present day, they were just, if they came across the man, they were pulling him into the military. You know, where are you going? Where are you coming from? You're coming with us. You're now in the military. And that's the way it works. From a guy who's not even in my mind, an acting president. But if you put a country under martial law, you can stop elections, you can control the selection, and he remains in place as a millionaire. And by the way, it's a very fascinating, beautiful home in Florida. Imagine that. I think, you know, once this is all said and done, he might get some deportation papers as well as some of the rest of them. Here's Dr. Jack Cruz, great friend of mine, talks also about SV40. And let's listen to him because he's trying to tell you how far back on the vax, okay, what was going on, polio, a president, so forth like that. So we're going to take a quick listen here because it's very important. And you may be thinking that he has the strangest glasses on, but he has them on for a reason. There's a purpose why. You'll even see people like Simon Cowell and a few others now wearing these glasses because of the blue screen negativity and damage that it can cause.
In people in the world. And they created a whole epidemic of cancer. The government knows that they just started the war on cancer. They gave the world cancer at record rates overnight. And what SV40 stands for, simian virus 40. So that means there was 39 other viruses that are out there. All the original polio vaccines that Salk came up with were all tainted with SV40. And no one knew it because DNA hadn't been discovered yet. So they casually turned all the science over to a doctor named Dr. Bernice Eddy at the NIH. Dr. Eddy does all this work from 51 through 53, 54. DNA gets discovered, And guess what Dr. Eddy finds out? Vaccines were all tainted with SV40. So she tells everybody in the NIH, she tells everybody in the FDA that this has gone on. And what does the industrial military complex do, my friend? They passed the jab out to 300 million people in the world. And they created a whole epidemic of cancer. The government knows that they just started the war on cancer. They gave the world cancer at record rates overnight. And what SV40 stands for, simian virus 40. So that means there was 39 other viruses that are out there. All the original.
This is not America. This is a terrible nightmare. Somebody slap me and wake me the fuck up because I'm ready to get on with it.
It's a cultural divide. I'm going to get it on the floor.
I gotta watch the music.
I'm talking about in the last 20 years. It came primarily through one guy and his organization, his Department of Justice, his Attorney Generals, none other than the famed Barack Hussein Obama. If you go back and study, you'll find out that this man right here was behind the lie of the Russian hoax. Yep. He fed it through Hillary Clinton, everyone. These things are well documented.
There you go.
This is why they're fighting desperately to keep a guy like the Attorney General from ever taking position over our FBI, rather, not Attorney General, but over the Director of FBI, and that is Kash Patel. They don't want him there. Why? He's talked about issues like this. They don't want a Kash Patel to expose a Barack Obama, a Hillary Clinton. Why? Because it would cause their momentum to probably crash and burn permanently. Barack Hussein Obama, outside of the accolades being the first black president, he will go down as one of the most failed presidents ever. Why? He was
in modern history. In modern history.
And for 18 months, we had nobody killed.
I'll give you my favorite President Trump story. It's my number one favorite of all time. When we were negotiating with the Taliban, while President Trump was still the president, President Trump wanted to get out of Afghanistan, but he wanted a conditions-based withdrawal, meaning that you do what we tell you to do, and then we'll start pulling troops back slowly as long as you abide by our rules. It's President Trump and Mike Pompeo, and they are talking to Taliban leadership in the room, and they had one translator in the room. President Trump looked at the Taliban leader and said this: I want to leave Afghanistan, but it's going to be a conditions-based withdrawal. And translator translated. And he said, if you harm a hair on a single American, I'm going to kill you. And the translator goes, and Trump goes, tell him. Tell him what I said. Reached in his pocket, pulled out a satellite photo of the leader of the Taliban's home and handed it to him.
Shut up.
Got up and walked out the room.
Sure did.
Do you know for 18 months not a single American was killed in Afghanistan?
Sure did.
So there you go. He told the translator, repeat exactly what I just said to you. And then shows him a picture of his home. With that and the power of his voice, the way he thinks, all killing stopped. All killing stopped. One thing that a lot of people don't know about President Trump also, he went on a night mission that nobody, well, maybe some were aware, but many are not even aware of. And I actually have a video of it somewhere in here in my archives of where they had to fly in dark to rescue our own military because they were stuck there. And Obama and Hillary wouldn't do, or Susan Rice wouldn't do anything to get them out. Trump takes his own plane in for the rescue successfully and brought them back to America. They don't talk about things like that, where somebody gets involved. Before he was a president, he did this. Or the fact that he gave somebody $1,000 because not because they were asked for it, just as a sense of gratitude in a certain way, or a kid getting an education, and paying for his college. They don't talk about things like that, you know, or how he helped all American citizens of all colors, of all walks of life. They don't talk about that. No, what they talk about is the yelling, the screaming, and the performances. They want you to watch them in the street with their rainbows, Lucky Charms, and wherever else the freak you can put together out of it. But here you have a president. Your president right now, who he is, what he did, actually went on a night mission on his own plane. Blinds had to be done, everything. He gave full details of what it was like and what his experience was like getting in there and getting these men out. We're our own military. And with all the money we have in this country and all the abilities, they did nothing. But Trump rescued them. Let me see. Which one's a CIA director? Shreds Hillary Clinton's personal. Yeah, this is interesting.
Hillary Clinton or her lawyers.
Do I think any laws were broken? I don't think there's evidence to establish that.
Coming for him.
Well, I think you're making my point when you say there's no evidence to establish that. Maybe not in the way she handled classified information, but with respect to obstruction of justice. And you've got a pen here. I just want to make sure the record's clear about the evidence that you didn't have, that you can't use to prove. So this comes from the FBI's own report. It says that the FBI didn't have the Clintons' personal Apple server used for Hillary Clinton work emails. That was never located, so the FBI could never examine it. An Apple MacBook laptop and thumb drive that contained Hillary Clinton's email archives was lost, so the FBI never examined that. 2 BlackBerry devices, provided the FBI didn't have SIM cards or SD data cards. 13 Hillary Clinton personal mobile devices were lost, discarded, or destroyed with a hammer, so the FBI clearly didn't examine those. Various server backups were deleted over time, so the FBI didn't examine that. After the State Department and my colleague, Mr. Gowdy here, notified Ms. Clinton that her records would be sought by the Benghazi Committee, copies of her emails on the laptops of both of her lawyers, Cheryl Mills and Harold Mills, and Heather Samuelson, were wiped clean with bleach bits, so the FBI didn't review that. After those emails were subpoenaed, Hillary Clinton's email archive was also permanently deleted from the Platte River Network with bleach bit, so the FBI didn't review that. And also after the subpoena, backups of the Platte River server were manually deleted. Now, Director, hopefully that list is substantially accurate because it comes from your own documents. My question to you is this: any one of those in that very, very long list, to me, says obstruction of justice. Collectively, they scream obstruction of justice, and to ignore them, I think, really allows not just reasonable prosecutors, but reasonable people to believe that maybe the decision on this was made a long time ago not to prosecute Hillary Clinton.
There's no doubt about that, but here's the more wonderful part about it. We have been able to get our hands on a lot of the credible validation information of everything that he's talking about. So now, because we have a new Team America, we're getting our hands on things. We're getting our hands in the boxes and basements and dusting off the dust and the cobwebs where they forgot they left stuff, where they hid stuff, just thinking it would never be looked at ever again. Remember, there are storage facilities, and that's how they pump stuff out if it didn't go through a shredder. But even though shredding can be put back together, it can be mended. It's time staking, but whatever. This is part of the validation, though, of what we do know we do have. Wow, does it get any better? The age of disclosure coming soon. Yes, of course. And that's what I'm talking about. Through the age of disclosure, you'll see. It'll all make sense to you very shortly. I can't remember this one. Let's play.
The only people that you can blame. The only people you can blame. This is a shame and this is the truth. Maybe they should be shamed. Are the unvaccinated.
It's time to start blaming the unvaccinated folks, not the regular folks.
Anyone you came into contact with will blame you, as will the rest of us who have done the right thing by getting vaccinated.
Because frankly, we know that we can't trust the unvaccinated.
I think it's time to get our moral house in order, Anderson. It's the unvaccinated who are the threat.
All of us vaccinated folks are going to start wearing masks to protect the unvaccinated folks. It's called a Christian value.
You're basically punishing the vaccinated for the sins of the unvaccinated.
People are not behaving honorably. The unvaccinated are basically saying, well, it's open
Here they go again.
I
This
can
is
do
the
whatever I
example
want as well.
what everybody
The
already knows.
unvaccinated
You
are
already all
basically
know this.
beating their breasts, running around the country saying,
Did this
we
for COVID?
don't care, we're living
Now
free,
it
and
comes
so
back,
forth.
there's no more pandemic.
but our patience is
They're
wearing
attacking
thin.
his act.
Unvaccinated,
As if
a
he's
group that
a
includes
criminal.
children and people acting like children. And the rest of us are starting to get pissed off.
The vaccinated feel the unvaccinated are making me upset or angry.
This is not about.
And that's what they push people to do. And then people got a little nervous about wearing Trump mega hats and stuff, you know, because they came down on people so hard, you know, we'll close your business. We'll mandate you to this. We'll mandate you to that. You know, this is exactly how the extremists work, you know, smear you. And it's not over. Just because you may not have got the bullet, the Frankenstein or whatever.
Amount is being vaccinated with mRNA. It's Merck, who we.
Oh, sorry.
Vaccines are entering our food chain in several species. So currently, all farmed shrimp are being vaccinated with mRNA. Currently, pork is an unknown amount is being vaccinated with mRNA. It's Merck, who we know as the one of the originators of ivermectin, and you wonder why they didn't make a big fuss at the amount of money they lost during COVID because of the inability to sell ivermectin into the whole thing. They could have been a kingpin in this, and they were silent. Why? Is because they own a lot of mRNA companies. Some of the companies state on their advertising, we put the right gene in your livestock vaccine. So they have vaccines going into the swine industry. We don't have data on how mRNA vaccines are entering our food chain in several species. So currently all farmed shrimp are being vaccinated with mRNA. Currently pork is an unknown amount is being vaccinated with mRNA. It's as the
so what we know,
one of the originators of ivermectin, and you wonder why they did.
So it went into loop. I'm looking for more information. Farm raised shrimp. So when you go and you get those plastic bags or those round things that are already ready, these were processed through the same junk, okay, as they were trying to talk us all into taking. So I guess if it goes through your system, it works just as well that way. And they probably, maybe in some way, got us all. You know, not that we weren't smart, not that we weren't trying to stay pure, but the fact that they were so well ahead of this, a lot of the things that took place, and prior to this ever happening, they were already putting it into the food processes. That we do know, that it was happening prior to the event of this thing hitting the world. They were already feeding us. Oh, I thought this was just like, what the, you know. Talk about, I'm all in to the left. This stuff hasn't ended. The media doesn't show it. We have to provide it for everybody. Unreal. Unreal. So back to cash. As I've been saying all along, all evening, how we need protection for all the White House staff, people in place, or the ones that were picked for certain jobs really do need security. He has requested to replace his FBI security detail with private contractors, really with because of fear of disloyalty and possible harm to himself. Not only that, his parents. That's not mentioned there. I mean, off what he'll be paid, he won't be able to afford it. It's you know, it's going to be a tough ball game. It's really going to be tough. And I think this is an executive order that Trump signed holding those challenged administration policies in court financially responsible when they lose their case. So anybody that spends money in the court, they will be able to, get punitive damages beyond the faculty of the amount of money awarded. And that would then also have to be absorbed. The same way within that case that Trump had with, I don't know, what was it, that idiot on? I can't think of his name, but he got 15 million, but he also was allowed $1 million in legal fees. So, and then of course, he gets his percentage, the lawyer gets their percentage to a certain way, or Trump played really smart and said, I'll pay you cash outright to defend me. And that's what it sounds like he did here, where there is no 60-40, there is no 66-33, whatever you want to call it, on a percentage. He paid them flat fee, $1 million to win the case, and they get none of the 15 million. I don't know for certain, but that's what it sounds like he did. Imagine that. But when you have money, and I'm not upset that he does have it. I'm glad that he went this way. I'm glad that he was able to do this. But what he's doing is he's putting it all back on everybody else to where it's not going to just be a normal settlement. There's going to also be cost incurred on top. So the legal system starts to work a different way now. Instead of steal, 30, 33, 40%, some offer 25%, depending on what type of case it is. Workman's comp cases, they don't charge quite as much. Social Security cases, they don't. And one thing about Social Security cases, I hope Trump really looks into these offsets where if you got workman's comp and you got Social Security because it all happened at once because of how bad the injury was, they offset because of what you were getting from one, and they take money off you the other way. $2 for every dollar you earn. Remember the whole thing? Trump needs to go in and kick all this shit in the ass and get rid of it, especially the offsets, because some offsets can go up into hundreds of dollars per month. And that needs to be also looked at. So I hope at some point we will be able to do that. This was one of the devastational fires that was going on in Long Island. When that happened, some pictures that I posted there, Ernie and Beth made some comments on it and whatnot. Myrtle Beach, woman facing charges, 2,000-acre wildfire. I think it even grew. I don't even know if it's totally contained yet. Why are we not being told this? And what's going on in North Carolina and up in the mountains and so forth, and Georgia, some of these other areas that were hit from the hurricane? Do we have houses there yet for people? We know that Trump says we're going to help you. FEMA's being ripped apart right now, too, by the way. I don't know who's handling what, but they are being ripped apart by the new Team America. But this is good news in a way for Texas. Oh, wow. I got to watch what I do here. They'll hit me. I would love to play the music for you guys. I really would. So anyway, yeah, we're going to have a new type of power system plant in Texas. And then you also have to worry about Canada. Canada is actually powering a couple of our states. There's a little bit of turmoil there, because we're seeing stuff be removed off shelves. Like somebody's telling them you can't do it, but yet that's not the whole real deal of everything. Listen to Trump. We do know that they are. I had videos of Jack Daniels being taken off the shelves and different things like that too, different food products and whatnot. And, actually, if you read the labels, you probably wouldn't want to buy them. But you know what? When I look at labels even made in America, some of these bad byproducts are in the stuff like Duke's. Look, I don't want to say nothing negative about Duke's and their mayo, but look at it. You can't even look at a jar of Hellmann's anymore and see that it looks adequately correct like it once used to. It has a whole discolorment to it. I don't know what is exactly in it. I don't really use this stuff. So anyway, with that said, and there's that fabulous little guy, that the left couldn't even stand up to clap for, and they said that Trump was just using people. No, he don't use people. He's done this through his whole career and through his whole presidential run and so forth. He's acknowledged people for most of the time the devastation that our government has led them into through their actions. And all he's doing is supporting him and giving a little man hope. What's wrong with giving a little man hope out there? There's nothing wrong with it. He's not going from one side to another, from this person to that person, a man or a woman. He's acknowledging everybody. Everybody, you know, but he couldn't even do it for the kid, you know, and then Tesla came up and gave him a car. And now Tesla stocks, they're taking drastic drops. I got to look more into what that is. And I know Trump bought a brand new Tesla. It was delivered to the White House. They had a beautiful candy apple, like red, with a bright silver white type interior. It looked laid out. I mean, you know, to say the least, it was a beautiful car. And what they're putting Musk through, as they call the shadow president, when a guy's coming here not asking for a penny to do what he's doing, just to help citizens of the United States because it's closest to him and closest to the truth in his heart of what he sees, understands, and knows, and anything to take him out of the equation. And they will go after us as well. They'll do things to us that they still have their hands tied and intertwined within in these deep state cells because they still are here. They still do exist. We're going to have to fight longer. We're going to, believe me, this is just part of the internal third part of the war, of the second part. The first part was the first 4 years. The second part, halftime, is we are now into, is in this whole next 4 years. In my view of everything that I'm seeing and finding out. And then you have another picture of the Long Island fire. Of course, you know, everybody knows what that's about. And again, we're not really getting the proper information that any of us should be getting. We don't get it. They don't do it. Hillary Clinton. Oh, okay. I must have a double post here. Okay, we did that one. If the president's past finances can be investigated, so can every member of Congress. And that really is a great idea. So that's nothing but a message. If they can go after Trump, they should account for all theirs too. And that's what we're doing. I mean, I know why this is posted, but that's exactly what Doge is doing right now. You know, he's going after the accounts. How'd you get so rich? Where'd the money come from? Follow the habits. Follow the habits. Yeah, this was pretty amazing. If I can find it, how to control it.
We found out from a source with direct knowledge telling NBC News that Governor Kathy Hochul, in just about an hour or so from now, is going to make her official announcement that she does not intend to remove Mayor Eric Adams from his post leading this city right now. However, that she will impose some strict guardrails on his administration.
Okay, so basically, you know, this was days ago, but in case you didn't know it, it does have precedence to what's going on, and it's important to know that they are protecting. This guy has been a puppet through the left, and the left is as deep as anybody could be. Millions and millions and millions of dollars in debt, police hurt on the job in New York City, damages to the hotels where they were living at, and basically financially broke the city. But they're going to let them there. They're going to keep an eye on them. Okay. Crazy shit, right? Crazy shit. This makes me wonder, like, who the hell came up? Oh, let's see. Trump. Taking frustrations out on Trump. I mean, where has America gone to allow something like this? I mean, you know, there used to be a time time, there used to be a time when nothing like this would ever. No, sorry about that. I had a glitch. It's telling me my Wi-Fi is low, which I don't understand. I have complete Wi-Fi. That's crazy. Anyway, we're at that 2-hour point. Oh, we're actually over it. Holy cow, guys. Sorry about that. And look, I'll never get to everything. I'll just never get to it all. There you go. The new sheriff in town, the new deputy, Mr. Gates, still going to be in there. Okay. So with that said, it's been a long 2-hour show. Thank you all for, coming in tonight. This is where, I do my weekly show thing, and I'll be back next week, probably Tuesday night, Wednesday night. Depends on how much information's out there. And in some cases, you could do this for 2 hours every night. But I don't want to, force feed information down anyone's throat, especially with so much being forced already out there in all the groups. I do want to thank all the group admins, though, that do allow me to post and let our show get into your groups and be viewed by all the patriots that you've collected. I greatly, greatly appreciate that. And everybody that came in tonight, that stopped, that stayed, please, share the Donald J. Trump News Team Network group and make your post, put your post up in there. Please share to your pages and to your groups. I'm not a member to all of them. So what you do now is basically the things that matter, because we need to be together to be the difference. And the next 4 years is going to be hard, and we're going to need support from each other. But one thing I can tell you, I think you could be keep a thought and fruitfulness that something good will happen from all this money coming back, because it does belong to the taxpayers. I don't know what the laws, and we've never been through nothing like this, where money's coming back, being recovered, that was being misused, and it belonged to all of us. I mean, and then April 15th, could that be the day where taxation died? Look, the IRS, all of them, they're all coming apart. This is why they're screaming for mercy. Why don't they just, and you know what? The way it's happening, he's killing the foundation at the bottom, because there are people, as you heard validation to, that are coming forth giving the information now when they are collecting more data. I'm not mad at anybody about anything that I've seen, or I'm not disappointed about the island. I'm not in the least bit. I know things happen, and I think that everybody needs to give the benefit of the doubt that this has been planned out for too long. He just needed to get the right appointees in there confirmed to where they could acknowledge the problems and be handed some of the information to get them started on the processes of, because this is a war within governments, of two governments that exist within our country. One of them needs removed because of the corruption and the criminal events. And not just that, the child trafficking, and so much more. We need to keep continuing to protect our children, and maybe, just maybe, keep them at home, because there's devastation there, and other news coming out on the pedophilia and stuff that does exist in the school systems, where, it's sad to say, but adults are just sick. They're just sick. So anyway, with that said, blessings to you all. I hope you have a great week. I will be on with a couple other shows that will not be non-political. If you want to join in, please do. Some of them are pretty cool. Talk about paranormal, talk about different types of subject matters, ufology and world history and different things like that. Some people like it, some people don't. I get that, but I enjoy doing it. And I'm also looking forward to the spring. It's starting to come in a little bit early, and I'm looking forward to it because I can start going back to looking at what's in the skies. I really have had some fabulous guests on. Some I have pre-recorded, I haven't uploaded, which it's going to be like an eye-opener to people, that I got that close to some people, talking to them and being able to get them on shows. I'm going to keep doing what I do for you as a patriot, as somebody who appreciates the president and supports his president of the United States. I hope that you all will be with us all as patriots and share and like. I don't have anything to subscribe to. I'm not a professional gig. I don't put up anything to ask for stars. The only thing I ask for is what you can do is to get the show out so the information is shared. Part of that network of the White House, getting out to the public, all the validation, all the information. Please help me get more done. Be involved. Hit me up. Hit me on Messenger. If you want to be on a guest with me one night as I'm doing this format, come on in. We'll show some clips. We'll have conversation, theories, and ideas together. People are welcome to always join me. I'm not looking for one greatness. I'm looking for everybody because you are that great. Appreciate you. I am Michael Anthony. You've been listening to America Disclosing Uncensored on the Donald J. Trump News Team Network weekly updates. Rock on, people. Love you to death. Have a great night.